What's up, everybody? It's Chad. I'm back again with one of the last episodes of this season of Ask Chad Grassy Logic. I'm dressed as Rex today because this is the Halloween episode. I'm here with my homie Daniel, who is also in his costume, which is dope. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Daniel.
Yo, what's up, everybody? How you doing? Yep, got to represent the llama with the little llama onesie, in honor of my boy.
In honor of the boy Yendo, 100%, man. So Daniel's from Yendo Farms up north, and it's a pleasure. It's great to have you here. I got the DJs over here looking through the window because we all got our costumes on. Hey guys, everyone's having a good time today.
Heck yeah!
But yeah, dude, it's great.
Yeah, thanks for having me on again. Appreciate it.
Of course, man. Anytime. It's great to have you on. I love to do this, to have an update. Sorry, it's so long deep into the season, but then again, you were busy all year with your harvest. So I mean,
Bro.
You just got what done yesterday?
Yes, sir. Yeah, nonstop, like 31 days. So, yeah, we just stay grinding all the time and just trying to, steady put out the fire for everybody, and took a little hiatus just to kind of like square up some stuff, but we're back, and yeah, excited to share what we've been working on all year.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, let's get into it and everything. So for the viewers who don't know who you are, just go ahead and give yourself a quick introduction.
Cool. Well, my name is Daniel Day. I've been growing for like 10 years, and yeah, just kind of been passion project. Did it for me, and in the back of the medical days, and then slowly just started helping out tons of people. And Yendo Farms is technically a consulting service now. So if you guys need help with your grow, you guys need help troubleshooting, anything. I've recently visited a lot of like failed grows, and you're like, oh, they were so close, they just had to change this or that. So it's fun. But just been doing it for a while, and just like to help people out, and try to get some super fire organic cannabis to people that may not have even experienced that yet. Passion project, that's who we are. We're just here because we love the plant, and want to kind of bring that to people.
100%, man. And I'm glad that you're bringing quality to the market and everything, because right now there's a lot of for lack of better words, bullshit out there.
Yeah.
And
mids mania.
Oh, dude, yeah, it is mids mania for 100%.
Yeah.
And like there's some decent mids. Don't get me wrong. I'm not like super against mids, but I like quality too. And you guys are.
Oh yeah. Yeah, everything has its place, right?
Oh, 100%. And places usually have something for everybody, but you always have that one guy who's like, bro, check this out. It was $5 a gram. I'm like, oh, brother, and I'm like, all right, am I gonna get an allergic reaction from this, or what's
yeah
going on?
Is it worth the $5-10 extra bucks to enjoy yourself a little more? Sometimes it is, when you got the extra cash, and when you don't, it is what it is. But I prefer not to even smoke. If I can't smoke the best, or at least some better stuff, then yeah, I'll just pass on that grass.
Yeah, 100%. It's okay to pass on grass sometimes. I agree with you on that, 100%.
Yes, sir.
There's times where you don't want to risk your health, because I found out I'm allergic to a lot of like molds, and it's a lot of plant molds, and so it's really dangerous for me to actually smoke that shit. And
100%.
Some people just don't care, but I feel that the customer base is changing, and the quality and the better cannabis and everything is becoming a thing, or more of a thing than what it was before, And so,
definitely.
I'm just glad it exists.
Yeah, no, not to interrupt, but yeah, no, you see the trends like in Cali, like it was like right when it was legal. It was mids mania out there, and it was the supply had to hit the demand, and once that demand was hit, then people started saying, okay, this is what now what's next? Like this is kind of rock bottom, baseline. Now, how do we push to get a little bit better quality, a little bit better high, better taste, better flavor? And I think New Mexico is ready for that. I think that there's people out there that are willing to pay a little bit more to get a better experience. You see it with the wine industry and alcohol industry. It's like there's $5 bottles of tequila, and there's $500 bottles of tequila. So it's really wherever you are at that time in your life and what you want to spend money on. I've bought both. You know what I mean? We all start somewhere.
Yeah, 100%. And I've bought expensive and cheap cannabis. I've also bought some expensive cannabis that wasn't that good. So it goes.
Yes.
And I've also bought some cheap cannabis that was better than the expensive cannabis.
100%. It's all about knowing your farmer and having a brand that you can trust, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like you need to have that brand because like you can have cheap cannabis that's good, and good quality. It's just the farmer somehow can afford to do that. Okay. But you can also have cannabis that's really expensive and not good at all.
Yep.
And like that's the big
100%.
part. But more times than not, the expensive cannabis is going to be better just for the sole fact that these days in New Mexico, we have more options. And now the
Yeah.
quality is there. Because, I tell people all the time, out of state people are actually praising our cannabis here because it's actually pretty decent, and, yes, we joke that there is a lot of mids, don't get me wrong, but we do have good cannabis here in New Mexico and people do really like it. And I guess,
Yeah, no, I think the trend in New Mexico is living soil, really. I think a lot of people are hopping on the train. They're saying the terps don't lie, and you might sacrifice a little bit of yield, but I'd rather have a little bit of fire than a whole lot of, mids. So,
yeah.
so I think people are catching on, and yeah, so it's exciting to see, and exciting to see that the market and the everyday consumer is really appreciating the fact that it does take an organic producer a little bit more money to produce super fire, and you do have more losses because you can't spray with certain chemicals or anything to get rid of molds. If you get mold, it's like our practice is throw that shit out. I know people that want to go to distillate with it or live resin. It's like even the stuff that we put to live resin has zero mold. That's just stuff that got a little dirty and maybe isn't like what we want for rosin, but it's still fire. You know what I mean? And it's still organically grown and no chemicals. So yeah, but you're going to pay a little bit more. One of my homies once told me, you either got to pay now or you got to pay later. You got to pay now for clean quality food and weed, or you got to pay later with time going to the doctors and time going to, this and that to heal whatever ailment that, cheap products might cause.
Yeah, that and on top of, trying to also fix the bad name you give yourself by getting somebody sick on top of it, because that's like a big, concern too, especially these days, like it's all a concern.
Oh yeah.
So I'm glad you're
Oh
doing it
yeah.
and taking a chance, like we're not even going to risk that, if it's molded, get it out of here,
Yeah, we take a loss, man. Our reputation's worth way more than a couple of dollars, that's for sure.
And you have a great reputation. Let's talk about it. So Yendo Farms, like where does the name come from? And like we talked about in the first episode, but it's too fun to not talk about it. Let's talk about it real quick.
Yes, for sure. Glad you brought that up. Yendo is named after my llama that I adopted about 6 years ago now. Yeah, 2016. Whoa, yeah, 8 years. It's
Yeah,
crazy. Time flies. Yeah, so he's like 11 now. I think we were talking earlier. Yeah, he's like 11 years old now, and he was raised with adversity. He was had a wife, and him and his wife that was pregnant, his llama wife. They got out because they were living in a pretty abusive home, and they ended up getting surrounded by coyotes, and the wife and the baby were taken down, unfortunately, and killed. And Yendo's whole back got ripped off. If you see on like, I don't know, some pictures and stuff, we have like most llamas' ears go to a point. These ones almost do it, but his are literally just cut square because they got chewed off by the coyotes because he was trying to fight off. Yeah, there you go. They're not as pointy as regular llamas because he was trying to fight off these coyotes, and so the whole back of his neck is just a giant scar, and yeah, it's a battle wound. So he unfortunately fought him off for a while, but he ended up having to go once they had unfortunately met their fate, and he ran to a rancher's house, and so basically he had to Yendo. Yendo means like go, keep going, to go, or like to go together. And so we loosely translated that to what Yendo stands for, because in the farm, adversity every day, there's always something that's getting thrown your way. You have to hop and hurdle and jump through hoops, and you got to Yendo, you got to just go, you got to keep going. And then yeah, so that's kind of like why he was named that. And then we thought it was a great representation for farm life, where it's like, yo, let's Yendo, like let's keep going no matter what gets you down. If you don't stop, it's always going to be in the past, and you're always looking forward better things. But you let those things get you down, and you're stuck and you're stagnant, and that's not a place anyone wants to be.
Yeah, like it's almost like when I tell people, you got to drive on with a mission.
Yeah,
You can't stop. Like
yeah,
lick your wounds, whatever, but you got to drive on with the mission. Um,
100.
yeah, and he's like a mascot of that whole saying itself. Like you hear his name Yendo, and you see him, and it's just boom, gotta go, gotta drive on with that mission there. He's like,
Yeah.
look at him in his glory.
Yeah. I had one of my photographer buddies come out to the farm, and he's like, "Yo, let me just Nat Geo this for a while. I'm just gonna spend a couple hours outside. Like, you guys do what you do, and I'm just gonna take pictures." And I thought that was a cool picture to catch him, just kind of, checking out his hill and just enjoying the serene life, because llamas represent like peace, wisdom, tranquility, and strength, and he embodies that, and we hope when people get our products, they can embody that too, because what more do we all want than just like some peace, some inner wisdom, some like tranquility, and just to go about our day loving it and try to provide that for other people, with a kind smile or kind gesture, whatever it may be, just to kind of create more harmony in this world that's like so disgruntled and everyone's just kind of hustling, bustling. And so, Yendo's your reminder, you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Like, and anytime I see the logo or see Yendo, yeah, it's all like, yeah.
Yeah, it's a feeling, right? Yeah. Like,
Yeah,
oh, there's the lava. All right, cool. So, it's going to be fire. You know what I mean?
yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
100%. Yeah, you see that llama, it's gonna be fire. And then
yeah,
you have them on the logos and everything like that. You showed me a lighter before the show that someone made custom, right? Do you want to show that off?
yeah. So this is a cool little lighter that Strike Customs made. My boy Zachy Chan got these made for me and my girlfriend. This is actually my girlfriend's lighter, and then he hooked me up with a sweet. Let's see here, the sweet torch. So Strike Customs 505 on Instagram. Get at them if you want a custom, torch. He might even make you a llama if you ask for one. Ask him for the Yendo llama. And shout out my boy Zachy Chan for hooking it up. And he's a sea moss plug in New Mexico. So if you need sea moss, those minerals, that's the dude to hit up.
Fire.
Oh yeah, and the sea moss elixirs are great. So if you catch them, so. But yeah, he's a great dude. He's our right hand man on the farm, and great guy. So super stoked to have him, and he knows what Yendo represents. So he had these made for us. So I thought that was super cool. One of the coolest gifts I've gotten in a really long time.
No, dude, that is dope. He did a great job, even on the color scheme. Like it's just perfect to the logo and everything.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's like he just took a photo and just wrapped it on there.
yeah. No, it's crazy. I was just like, how did he do this? And I guess he molds everything by hand and then paints it all on himself. And pretty cool. He's done some really cool ones. He's done some stuff that's even more intricate and kind of out of this world than those. So check him out, give him a follow, and hopefully you guys like his artwork.
Hell yeah, dude. So is Yendo the only llama you have right now, or do you have more now?
So right now he's the only one. I had one, adopted another one because he needed a friend, and then when we took over my current farm, we took over the farm with 13 goats and another llama. So we had Zorro, Quincy, we had like 13 goats, 22 chickens, and a partridge in a pear tree.
Yeah.
And then my two little ride or die dogs that are right here with me now. But they've since passed away. They were like 23 when I adopted one, and 25. So they only live to between 25 and 30. So Yendo still's got about 14 to 19 years left, and the other two are just with us in spirit. So
Nice.
but definitely looking for Yendo for a mate, and gotta make sure that we have to get them gilded. I guess llamas are just vicious. They seem all calm and stuff, but yeah, so we got a couple things to do before we get him a mate, or if we get him like a male counterpart, they just fight. If one's gilded and the other one's not, they just like fight to the death, like ferocious giraffes. It's pretty wild.
That's nuts, dude. It's nature. National Geographics.
Yeah, nature is metal, right?
Yeah, 100%. You know, like nature is scary. Like, was it a
Yeah,
family guy? Damn, nature, you scary. I'm like, oh, that's true.
yeah. Nature is kind and gentle, and nature also doesn't give a fuck. You know what I mean?
Oh, it
Uh,
gives no shits whatsoever. I learned that when I lived in
yeah,
Hawaii, you know, like looking at the ocean, I was like, I am tiny. I am itty bitty. The ocean does not care.
peanuts.
Yeah, it just
Oh
does not.
yeah, so
It's
tranquil and peaceful, but also so deadly. You know what I mean?
yeah, while I lived there, there was two tsunamis that happened because we
No
had
way.
yeah, and they came from two different directions. They had a earthquake in Chile that caused a bunch of damage, and then that one in Japan that like decimated Japan. Well, that caused tsunamis to happen. Like anytime a earthquake happens, there's a chance of a tsunami following it.
Yeah,
So like I had a little tracker on my phone and everything because we had two of them. I think a year after each other, and yeah, it was crazy. Like Oahu wasn't the one that really got affected. I think Big Island was the one, and Maui was the two that really
oh
got.
yeah,
But we were fine, but we were ready. And like where I was stationed, like it was in the center of the island, so I was just kind of sitting there watching it. And there was actually
yeah.
some idiot in Waikiki swimming around and everything, and he's like, "Oh, this is great! No one's here." He was all swimming, and like the news people are like zooming in on him, like, "Oh my god, there's a guy in the water!" And it was
Oh
pretty
yeah,
funny.
was he surfing? Or was he surfing or something?
He was just splashing around like an idiot.
All right, hell yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I was just like, "Oh."
They say you only live once, but I think you only die once. So hopefully, he picked it wisely. You know what I mean?
He did. Eventually, a lifeguard came out and like told him, like, "Get out of the water." He was like, "Oh!" Once he realized, you could see like the realization, the reason, the why there's no one in the water. He was like,
Oh, oh,
"Oh,
oh
I'm
yeah.
gonna
I thought he
die."
was. I thought he was going out there just like, no, this is it. I'm just gonna splash until the tsunami hits.
No, I think it was a
So,
guy who probably got there that morning, didn't know what was going on, didn't hear any word of it, just
oh
got to
no.
his hotel. Probably it was probably just one of those 1 in a million cases,
Oh
and like the dude was
no.
just dumbfounded and just maybe it was his first time in Hawaii too, so he
Cool.
decided like, oh, no one's at the beach either. Hell yeah! And so
Oh
he
yeah.
gets there.
That makes way more sense. Yeah, I've been that guy. I've been in Kauai, got to a beach, beautiful, serene, no one's in the water, and I'm going like in right now. Start taking off my clothes, start running towards the ocean, and my boy's like, yo, don't go in there. I'm like, what? He's like, don't you see that sign? And it's like 42 people have been killed this year from the currents because apparently, like right where that one hits, there's 7 different currents that come in, and once you get out, you can't come back in.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, fucking howlies out there just trying to live, just trying to go for a swim.
Oh yeah,
So,
dude. That was always like almost a sport to watch like the tourists. Like you're sitting there swimming and then they turn their back to the ocean and you're like, this is gonna be bad. You see them
yeah,
flipping, flopping and getting drug up on the freaking beach.
yeah, yard selling, have sea moss coming out of their nose.
Yeah, just
Yeah, 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 we've all been there. At least I have, that's for sure.
oh yeah, I've been wiped out a few times by the ocean for
Yeah,
sure. Yeah, that's a nice
yeah,
sobering moment. You're like, oh wow.
yeah, very humbling for
Yes.
sure.
Yes, I'm
Yeah,
weak.
yeah, 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 100%.
So yeah, but yeah, let's get talking back on the car. I could talk about this all day and everything. Let's talk about the conversation. Let's talk more about Yendo Farms and everything. So, how
Cool.
many plants are you running right now, or how many did you just harvest? I guess.
Our counts for like 700, and
Yeah,
so we've just been kind of rocking that out. Not we didn't get plants in as soon as we wanted, and so it took a minute for sure
yeah,
to get everything rocking, but still had a great year. Had some incredible strains, genetics. You know, life is life was very nice to us. Mother Nature was great to us. Last week, we got hit with this crazy storm thing, and so we're actually looking for anyone that wants to run some fire live resin without any CRC right now, because I just don't want to do that to people. Our reputation means too much to us to wash that kind of stuff, but it's incredible flower, and luckily 3 weeks before that had like the best weather I've ever seen outdoor and some of the best herb I've ever seen outdoor, and really just all in all, just some of the best, terps, try coverage. I'm so excited for this year, so excited for people to try it out. And so, yeah, so just full of excitement, and kind of feel like we've been on the sidelines just checking it all out for a while we got all of our ducks in a row, but now we're full systems go. So, we're excited to get what we've been, our artwork to the people. So
Yeah.
that exciting.
Hell yeah, dude, it is. And you showed me a picture of your plants, yesterday, or one of them. And they look gorgeous, dude. Like you guys are you're knocking it out and killing it. And I've seen the washed product many times, and I've had it many times, and it's always fire. And kudos to you for wanting to keep your reputation intact by doing something like that. It's like we're still going to give you this product. It's not like it's tainted. It's just not to par for rosin or
Yeah.
to par for wash.
Yeah.
And to make that call says a lot, because most
Yeah.
people would have like, oh, run it. I don't care. Run it, food grade, whatever, but
Yeah.
you're making that self-conscious, decision to like, no, we'll still, get our money's worth with it, but we're not going to put it into the product that, it was intended because of this, but, we want to make sure
Yeah.
that the product that it would be great, it should happen.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So,
fire in, fire out, hydrocarbon has a place, and there's still a lot of people that like to take, live resin dabs, and, in my experience, a lot of people that grow moldy weed or have will test positive for pesticides or something will run into live resin. And so this is cool because this gives the consumer an option where they know it's like organically grown, no chemicals, no mold, and there's a little bit of dirt on it. So we're going to remediate it, make sure it's nice and clean for everybody. And hopefully if you're into the BHO realm, you smoke it, you're like, cool. You see a Unidos jar, and you're like, oh, cool. Let's try the live rosin instead. Let's pay the extra $20 and just see if it's worth it.
Yeah.
And most people will say it is worth it to pay the extra $20-$30.
I do. I know there's a difference between the two when I smoke it. I can smoke the hydrocarbon or the solvent extractions versus the solventless extractions. Like you can tell the difference in the flavor for sure.
Definitely.
It's there all day, but they have their place, like you said, and there is a market for it, and there's the customers drive the market, and there are people who like that. So you still said, hey, we can still use it for something, so that's
Yeah.
great. Well, let's talk about the growing and everything. What are your methods of growing over there? Using living soil, like what do you got going on?
Yeah, we're doing all living soil, a recipe that I've kind of developed over the last 10 years, just hiring different consultants, picking different people's brains. My boy Shane helped a lot with a bunch of nutrient mixtures that he's putting down. And we just kind of piggybacked and mostly drove my program to each plant. So you'll really get the true Yendo feeling and kind of the vibe that we bring. Cause I feel like, hash starts in the garden. And so if you don't have fire plants and it's all mineral based and it's all enzyme based. And so, we just try to feed our plants lots of minerals, lots of enzymes. We have this take, if it's good for you, it's good for the plant. You know what I mean? So lots of calciums, lots of ferments, lots of fruit ferments, vegetable ferments. I don't know. We keep it fresh. We keep it just like a human. We don't have a set regimen, especially for this last round. It was just kind of cool. I'm vibing with the plants. I'm like, this is what you guys need today. And we make it happen. And it was cool because I feel like the plants really responded really well to it this year, and exceptional year. It was some of the best weed I've seen, especially grown outside. So pretty cool.
The cannabis I saw that you showed me rivals what I've actually seen inside. Some of the things I've seen indoor. I was like, "There's what?" I was like, "That's outdoor, dude? No way!" Holy shit!
No, that's how we felt.
Yeah.
Our partners put up a super sick fence this year, and so everything was very very clean. The weather was super nice. The birds and the bees and the sunshine. You could have the best indoor facility in the world, but it's nothing's going to match the lumens and the energy from the sun. Sun is unremarkable, or not unremarkable. It is remarkable, but it's unmistakable. You know what I mean? And you could feel that essence. So that's why our preferred method's greenhouse, right? Sealed greenhouse. So you have the indoor clean, no contaminants, zero really any kind of outside influences, if weather were to get crazy. But then you still have the power of the sun. And so, you're mixing the best of both worlds. And so I truly think some of the best herbs I've ever smoked or come into contact with has been greenhouse,
Yeah.
and so people call it greenhouse, but you know, is it a sealed greenhouse? Do you have, everything marked down? So, it's a clean facility, you know what I mean? So, I think there's a difference between greenhouse and depths where you have a hoop over it, but there's still open airflow and bugs and all kinds of stuff can still get in. And so, yeah, I think greenhouse is the best way to go. But for right now, outdoor has produced the best resin I've ever seen and experienced. So it's just like gambling. You're gambling with like Mother Nature, God, and next week's weather report. You know what I mean? So it's not for the weak or the faint of heart for sure. Not my
Yeah.
preferred method of growing, that's for sure. But I like doing it, and I'm really glad I did. This is actually my second year ever growing green outside, so
Nice.
pretty cool.
Yeah. I've been
Yeah.
I've been growing outdoors since I started growing. Of course I do both indoor outdoor at the same time, and yeah, it's different growing outdoor. You are just good luck kind of situation, like may
Hanging
the
on for
odds
the
be in
ride.
your favor.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you
No,
know,
exactly. Yeah,
like
no,
you hope to God that you
100%.
don't have like a moth outbreak, like the moth outbreaks are terrible because you have all those caterpillars everywhere and then or a grasshopper, like
Bro.
infestation that just randomly comes out of nowhere, and world ending kind of, shit. But if you're in a greenhouse, you mitigate a lot of those, especially the sealed ones, and I'm with you
Yep.
on that, like the sealed ones for sure. And especially when you mix the technologies, you mix the supplemental lighting with the technology of greenhouse, because you don't get all of the light all year from the sun, so you do have to supplement, but you still get the
Yep.
power of the sun during the day with the hours that you have, which is more than enough,
Oh yeah.
that you get, and the supplemental lighting just comes into play. So I'm glad that caught up because yeah, for sure, like it's really hard to match the sun because the sun's free and the sun has been working on growing plants. Well, plants have been working on to grow with the sun for billions of years,
Yeah,
so
millennials. Yeah.
yeah, so there's really no matching it when the plants have evolved to grow with that light. We can only mimic
Oh
only so
yeah.
much. We can only just get so close before we
Yeah.
can reach our limit.
Even just the circadian rhythm of a plant, they get really active and stoked as the sun comes up, and then it's hot during the day and they kind of chill out, and then it's like, okay, it's nighttime, or I kind of start seeing them wind down, and then they're like crashing out for the night. Unless they're super active. Our plants are super active all year, like they literally just prayed the whole time, just like, yo, like thank you, like this is
Yeah,
awesome. And so but yeah, it's outdoors. Like you could have the best year ever and one day could just wreck months and months and months of work. So, hats off to all the outdoor farmers that go out there, and it's not for the faint of heart. And to pull out some fireweed outside, especially in New Mexico, you know, good job. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
for sure. Because especially down here south, it's a lot hotter. Where is your farm at right now?
We're in Los Lunas.
Okay, well, yeah. So you're up north, Los Lunas, yeah. So it's a little cooler up there. Down here in the south, it's hot. Hot, hot,
Yeah,
hot. And so we go a very, very long time with no rain. And
yeah,
growing down here is not easy. And so when I go somewhere and they're doing great outdoors, it's 110, and those plants are out there just praying. I'm like, hats off to you, homie. This is
yeah, yeah.
like hats off.
Yeah. Compost is key in keeping those plants cold, or the roots cooler, right? So
Mhm.
lots of fire compost and humus will, so is a farmer's best friend, especially down there in the south.
Yeah. Well, what is a tip you can give somebody? Say they move from like Oregon, California, and they're growing in New Mexico. What would be just a couple of tips you could give them that would help them out a little bit more? Because some of these guys they try to mimic the exact same thing, they don't realize that total different ballgame.
Yeah. I think everyone that I've known that moved here has actually been pretty successful. If they're moderately successful in Oregon, with like there's a lot of moisture. I guess depending on where you are in Oregon, but a lot more moisture, lot more humidity, a lot more mold. So having the right genetics is key. Having something that's like heat and stress and drought tolerant. We have some strains they could go a couple of days without getting watered and are still praying. And you have some plants that you miss their feeding by a couple hours and they were sad. They're definitely visibly like, what the fuck is going on? Hit me with some water, please.
Yeah.
So I think genetics are huge. airflow and just like, depending on where you are in the state, because I know like up north, it's cold. And so having some kind of supplemental heating if you are in a greenhouse is essential. Airflow is essential. My number one rule, I tell all the people that you try to keep it simple as possible. Keep it simple, Sam. Got to kiss the project, and that is really just like, if it's hot to you, it's hot to the plant. If there's no airflow right here, get a fan there, because it's like, if you're visibly sweating and uncomfortable in any area in your outdoor or your greenhouse or wherever, there's something that maybe you could do to kind of like adjust to help that, whether it's a fan, whether it's putting some like, some sod down if you're outdoor and you want to put down some kind of, ground cover to cool off the ground. There's various things that you could do to adjust your environment to really help you grow better plants. Because at the end of the day, a happy plant, it grows happy weed. You know what I mean? So yeah, simple. Just if your plant, if it feels too hot for you, might be too hot for the plant, and so maybe throw some shade cover on it. Put some shade cloth up. All of a sudden, boom, that plant's going to bounce back.
Yeah, I've had a couple buddies tell me like, "Oh man, I think it's too hot," and I'm like, "Put a shade cover." They're like, "What?" I'm like, "Try it," and they do it, and bounces right back.
Yeah,
it's too hot to get direct, man. I'm in certain areas. My backyard, I'm lucky. I have a bunch of pecan trees, so they kind of give plants some good shade at certain points, and so man, it worked great. So I don't.
That's so cool. Yeah. Natural shade cloth.
Yeah, natural shade cloth and free pecans, because they're expensive.
yeah, no, for real. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
That's cool that you share that, because I've noticed that most have done right too, but I've met a couple that like, oh man, this isn't like Oregon, or this isn't like wherever they're from. I'm like, yeah, this is a desert. The only place I can kind of being similar is someone from like Arizona, like, oh, okay, this is similar environment, so it wouldn't be too bad.
Definitely.
Different places, like in Hawaii, it was totally different too.
Oh yeah. See, and I feel like I'd have more trouble trying to adjust going and growing somewhere else that has higher levels of humidity, because when I was just doing my personal stuff for my medical card, I saw a drastic change in the mountains, where it went from like super hot all the time to where I wake up every morning, it felt like I was living by the ocean, or I felt like I was living by a lake, and it was like super humid. And you need those plants need to have a fan on them 24/7 to make sure no moisture accumulates, and make sure you don't have drastic temperature swings, because we are in the desert, so it gets really hot and really cold. And if you're in a humid environment, that's like a recipe for mold or botrytis or powdery mildew, or so just being aware of your environment 100%, and minimizing the temperature swings is going to be a grower's best friend, and that's a super simple way without getting super technical and you having to buy all kinds of things and do all kinds of stuff. It's like, growing fireweed is super easy. It's just we as humans want to make it hard and complicated. They're just getting back to that root of like, what makes this plant happy, and following a base nutrient regimen that's organic based. And plug right here for Organics Alive. They are a microbe carbon based nutrient company and game changer right there. So if you're listening, some free game for some people, hit up Eric at Organics Alive, because they do an exceptional job.
Dope, dude. I'm thank you for that. A lot of people are probably thankful, because I'm sure some organic growers, maybe they want to try something new, or something, or maybe their line just isn't working for them. Maybe it's always great to try something different.
It's expensive, but it's so easy. It's like it's the blend. Like if you want so easy, like kind of like the salt rim, where you're just following like a recipe. In the organic realm, where you could just throw about 1 billion different things at it, and you don't really know what you're doing unless you're following like a specific recipe or someone's protocol. Organics Alive is a super happy medium, and those guys have been super great to us. And so, any support people throw at them, those guys are in San Diego. They're great people to support. That's for sure.
Yeah, 100%, dude. American company, so because I believe we're about 4 years away to kind of regardless of who gets elected, some kind of legalization. I know rescheduling is kind of the default of what's going to happen either way. But legalization, I believe, is about 4 years away. And I kind of feel that us getting ahead of that and just realizing where we're going to be is great, and start supporting American companies is one. Which, to be honest, the way that the industry works right now, it kind of has to be local because you can't ship out of state. But once that changes, a lot of things are going to change. The interstate commerce thing, that is going to get interesting. And it's going to get bloody, and I could talk about those things all day, but
Marvel's had like patents. They've been ready to go for a minute. It's like tobacco farming and large ag production is definitely going to squish the small guy. And so at least with like the states being legal right now, the little guy has a little leg up and can at least get some kind of audience before it gets so oversaturated. I feel like it's going to be almost like the reverse with like how prohibition came out for alcohol, where it's like you had all these kind of bootleggers and stuff that were always doing it, and then it got legal, and then the ones that really made it happen, started producing out these commercial products. And then, for a while, at least in high school, it was like Keystone, Bud Light, Budweiser, Coors, that was beer, and the craft brew movement hadn't sparked yet because people weren't fed up with the status quo yet. And so I think that getting in now, getting a good reputation is key. And then if it does go federally legal, hopefully you could ride out the storm. And then once weeds everywhere, if that's the way they choose to do it, then all of a sudden you'll start seeing like a craft boom happen again once that kind of settles. And then people are like, okay, this is like gas station weed. Like, what's the stuff that grandpa used to tell me about or whatever, you know what I mean?
Exactly. The more of the older recipes, have been kind of popping up a little bit more, and this is the way it did taste, or this is the way they used to, or we're experimenting with this. My brother makes cider in Durango, so he experiments with all kinds of different things too, pears, different kinds of apples, things like that. So it opens it up more for innovation. And I tell people that I'm like, legalization brings upon innovation.
Definitely.
That's one main thing that you could take away from it. And another thing that changed that is I believe there was a ban on microbrews until like the 80s or something like that. So they only allowed the big corporations in, those big first few companies, kind of like they do with the states now with legalization, is they allow like most of them, instead, minus us, allow a few in and then cut everybody off and say, that's it.
Yeah.
In forever or for whatever. And that's kind of what they did. Then they opened it, and finally it started to slowly get its way. Because when we were younger, there was none of this, Santa Fe Brew stuff running around. None of this, Little Toad Creek, from here in the Cruces area, or I think
Toad Creek's fire.
Yeah, Little Toad Creek. Yeah, there's some good stuff. And then just some other really good brands in New Mexico. They weren't really there yet, and now everywhere, and it's amazing. Because we have some of the best in the nation. And we have some of the best craft cannabis in the nation too.
Definitely, man. We were like 17. I'm from Farmington, and so Durango's right there. And Durango's always kind of been the pioneer of like the weed scene and the craft brew scene. And so we were like 17 driving up there. We had a plug up there, so we get some Fire Chronic and some Firecraft beer, and we go back to the party in Farmington. Everyone's smoking swag and drinking Keystone, and we're drinking like Ska Brewery and smoking Chronic, and it's different. It's like we're kind of ahead of the curve, but now I feel like the curve is caught up, and so it's like it's cool to see people wanting good weed, cool to see people wanting good beer. I think we're in the craft era where people are done with like so much like people would rather have really high quality items, very like limited, versus just being able to get anything all the time. And obviously you got to have both worlds, right, to make it all work. But yeah, exactly. But for whatever reason, I feel like people are really interested in like the art aspect of craft brewing and craft pastries and craft artistry, making blankets. And so it's cool to see. I feel like it's like a renaissance of like just people just kind of being more creative and all kinds of entrepreneurs, and it's cool to see.
No, I love it too, because and I think COVID kind of helped with that. It showed how many more Americans are actually entrepreneurs. Like some of us had no choice but to hustle or be an entrepreneur, and I think that really re-sparked some of that. I don't think it was the only reason, but I think it helped re-spark that. And now we're seeing this huge boom of just more of this artisan kind of work when it comes to products, foods, and other services. And
Yep.
to be honest, I love that. And yeah, it creates that little bit of scarcity, but you have these
Yeah.
really great products for a little bit limited of time too. And it's like, oh, this is kind of cool. I'm not stuck with this like, oh, get Budweiser and that's all you get, buddy. It's like,
Oh
oh,
yeah.
yay, like,
Yeah.
no
So
thanks.
much more in the world, right? Yes,
Yeah,
variety's a spice of life, and it's like, cool, yeah, drink a Budweiser, Bud Light, whenever that's all you and your grandpa drink, or there's time and a place for everything, right? But
yeah,
trying a new cider that your brother made, is probably just as exciting as trying a new strain that one of your fellow farmers made, or something that you grew. So it's all about keeping it interesting, because at the end of the day, it's like, what's the point of having the same old, same old, unless it's just exquisite and super extraordinary. So then I'm okay with having the same thing over and over again, especially if it gives you that same feeling time and time again. You know what I mean?
and then it's made with love and it's made with care and it's taken its time because you can tell something's mass produced. And speaking of, we were talking to rosin and everything. We'll talk about
Yeah.
that real quick, and then we'll jump on to the next
Oh
conversation.
yeah.
You and I know we can
Yeah.
talk about all kinds of crazy shit all day.
Yeah. Let's do
But
it.
so who's making your rosin? Are you making the rosin right now? So what's going on with the situation with that? Because I love your rosin.
So yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, so a lot of stuff that people have seen over the years has been a collaboration with Alabastra, and so their team over there. So we kind of like had the grow, and then they had the manufacturing side of washing and pressing, and really making sure that everything's coming out super fire. And so they do great work over there. And so me and one of the owners have been talking about just getting me in there and helping more hands-on. But right now I'm really focusing on with the plants and growing, and that's kind of like my true passion. And so yeah, and so I think that those guys do a great job. So I kind of like handed over the reins to them a couple of years ago, but I've been making rosin since like 2016. I was like saving up money for like months, and I finally had like 20 grand together and bought all the hot rosin gear at the time, and bought a freeze dryer and bought a giant washer and all the bags, and got the whole setup, the freezer, and the cold bot. And things get expensive and crazy, and so we ran it for a while. We did a great job, people loved it. But oh yeah, Yendo's walking by the window right now.
I mean, we get a little treat to see him walk by.
Yeah, like he usually cruises through. If you see some brown figure walking by, that might be him. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's a better picture of him anyway. And so I just wanted to focus on like right at the time I had a hard time juggling making rosin and growing, and I was like so small scale. I didn't really have like a setup, like a room, so I'd have to break down and set up every time I wanted to make rosin. And so me and Shane from Alabastra started, chatting, and we both have a love for terps and fire, just producing the fire and trying to get the best out to people. And so, yeah, when we did a collab for both of us, it came out to be some of the best rosin both of us have ever smoked. And, a lot of people, caught wind, and I don't know, all of a sudden people were talking about Yendo and the llama, and everyone loved the llama. And so we decided to run with that. And so Yendo Farms teamed up with Alabastra to do the Unidos project. So if you guys see Unidos out there, you could look for the llama. And if you see the llama, it's fire. And so that's our current project. So that's where you're going to be finding like sour gack, which is one of my favorites right now. That's like mystery sour crossed with the gack strain from the Dying Breed family up in Northern California. So I believe the same guys are responsible for Skittles from like the gas station Bob Cut. They kind of helped get that out into the world. And then, yeah, we got the Sandia cream soda coming up. That's like straight watermelon, strawberry terps. Like that's the one I sent you a picture of. Just exceptional. Just like smells like straight watermelon, strawberry juice, and delicious. So really excited for that one. Only one cultivar cultivator has that currently. So we had that, and then we've given it to a friend out in Oklahoma. We traded a cut, I don't know, like last year, 2 years ago. And so that's became his number one strain in his garden, and everyone in Oklahoma City is loving it. So really excited to share that with the people in New Mexico, because that's just kind of been I don't know. We have a pretty deep library, so that's just kind of been one that hasn't really gotten her chance to shine yet. And so this year we put her into action, and she was a star player. So definitely be on the lookout for that one. You know, we brought Pineapple Collins back, to probably one of New Mexico's favorite strains. I think I get more compliments on that than anything else. Got Moroccan peaches coming. We got honey bananas coming. We got grape gas. We got Z Face, which is Skittles and Face off of G. We got some papaya coming. You know, got to bring back some old school, new school strains. Yeah, man, Black Maple's coming out. The Black Maple came out so good. So if you like gassy, never really understood why they called it Black Maple, but it literally smells like someone made you a fresh like pancakes and just drizzled it with maple syrup. And it's just one of my favorite terp profiles right now. Very unique, sweet but gassy. And so yeah, man, lot to look forward to.
Yeah, 100%, dude. That's a lot of. That's a great lineup, you know, a heavy hitter lineup, and those terps.
Yeah.
Because like I'm imagining in my head, I've had, you know, yours, you know, the Alabaster collabs, you know, the Unitas and all that, and you know, the terps are always, you know, on fire. They're spot on, and you know, I love the way it tastes, the way it smells, the way it looks, you know. And when you open it, you're like, oh yeah, even when it's cold, you know, you can smell it, because you know, if you guys don't
Yeah.
know, when rosin's in the you know fridge, when you pull it out, you don't smell as much of the terps, hasn't warmed up yet, and when it warms up, is usually we can smell it better. With this, no, it don't even matter. You know, you pop that open and it's there. It punches you right in
Oh
the
yeah.
face. Yeah.
Yeah, the whole room lights up. Yeah. It's definitely, don't want to open a jar in Texas, that's for sure.
Oh yeah. Oh no. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. You don't want to open an alabaster jar over there. Heck no.
Yeah.
So where can people find like your rosins? Or are you selling flour too?
So no flour yet. We're hopefully spring we'll have a dry room set up and do that. Right now we're all rosin all the time. You know, we have a pretty big following, and people love it. So for right now, we're gonna just try to crank out as much rosin fire as possible. You know, stock inventory, and then start dropping some flour. You know, once the people start saying like, you know, cool, what's next? And so. Yeah, so I think dropping flour is going to be the next move, hopefully next spring. But right now down south, you know, we're going to be down in Jal. Queen Bee's, you know, Astrid's the homie, and so right now she is holding it down for Unidos down in Las Cruces. We got High Class Cannabis up in Santa Fe that holds it. Unidos Project. So yeah, Unidos is the project name. And so anything Unidos, anything with the llama on it, that is from us. And so yeah, they have it up there. We got Vice Cannabis here in Albuquerque. Dark Matter, I believe, is going to pick up some more. So yeah, and we're actually doing our first drop since like January next week. So we'll be live next week. So maybe we could post something up on your page, and we can maybe make a list of you know, if you want to come check out where Unidos is. If you guys want to follow Yendo Farms or Unidos Farms, we'll also be posting there where we can, you know, where people can find us and what disposed to go check out our rosin.
100%. You know, yeah. Let me know, and anything I do to help to get the word out. You know, especially, you know, getting your product out there in the state, and you know, letting people know where it's available. Let me know, brother. That's great.
Thank you, man.
Can't wait to see it more available in the state, man. To see it more, and you know, get my hands on it a little bit more than I can lately, because that shit goes fast.
Goes fast, yeah, and it's rare. We're so small batch, and so we're picking up production. Things are moving fast, and so hopefully we'll be in, you know, a couple hundred stores around the state by next year, and then it'll be like kind of a household name where, you know, if you want some super fire, you know where to go.
Yeah, 100%. You know, get that Yendo, even if it's a pre-roll, because you're gonna have that flower.
Bro, yeah, the pre-rolls are smoking good. Yeah. The flour is great. You know, if without fire flour, there will not be fire hash. So, you know, people should already know.
Yeah, and oh man, that's good. I can't wait for you guys to check out their flower. It's amazing. Yeah, you know, I have that picture. Maybe I'll share that picture on socials if you don't mind, or whatever. The
flower. Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
And so that way you guys can get the treat and really check it out and everything. But man, I really appreciate you, you know, joining me on the show and everything. We'll continue on to the last topic of the episode, because you know we're running long. I didn't realize how long we were talking and everything, but I appreciate you sharing everything about the farm. Of course, you know, I love talking about Yendo, the llama, and everything. So I appreciate it, man. But do you have anything before we move on to the next topic?
No, man, we covered it all. Just look out for Unidos Farms, and yeah, and then who knows, maybe Yendo will have a dispensary one day and come say hi. And
Heck yeah.
so, yeah, we'll see. Lots in the works. We just gotta keep it moving. Got to Yendo. Got to keep going.
100%, man. Drive on with that mission. Well, I
Dive
appreciate you,
on
man.
with
And
this.
we'll work. You already told us where people could find you online on the Instagram, and you said it was Yendo Farms 444.
Yep,
Okay.
I believe that is the one. Yep,
Okay.
and then at Unidos Farms, UNIDOS FARMS.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I wanted to make sure that was out there, so you guys check them out. I'm gonna be sharing that for the picture of that flower because that was fire. But anyway,
Cool.
I thank you again, Daniel. Let's move on to the last conversation that we're gonna talk about that we really have time for today, and it's kind of important because this is making headlines and like national news things. So looks like 8 companies here in New Mexico is suing the federal government. I know you guys don't have to deal with the border checks up there, Luckies, but down here we have we're kind of plagued with the border checks up here. Or down here, and it looks like
Yeah.
8 of the 8 companies here in New Mexico decided to sue the federal government under a Fifth Amendment kind of issue. They said that their due process, they didn't have their due process during the whole thing. So we'll see where it goes. I'm kind of curious, and if you guys don't know, and if you're new to the show, I actually have been keeping everybody updated what's going on with the border checks because I live down south in Las Cruces, and you can't throw a rock without hitting a border check. You can't leave Cruces without going through one, and all of us deal with it, and that's where most of these seizures are happening here in the area. And it's probably close to about $1 million of what they've seized so far in product. And I understand, everyone knows that these are federal checkpoints, so they don't enforce state law; they enforce federal law. And as you know, cannabis is federally illegal, so we have this big disparity between the two laws and everything like that between state and federal, and it's not like looking like it's going to get any little better, but it's also an election year. So I think that's one reason why things got a little bit wonky. They're not Department of Justice, the Department of Homeland Security. So if there is a memo through Department of Justice, it doesn't pertain to us anyway. So we're kind of screwed in that sense. Yeah, and so it's like a little government BS thing that's going on. So there's a little update for you guys, to kind of bring you up to speed if you weren't too sure what's going on. Now what's happening is there's 8 companies in New Mexico who actually decided to sue the federal government. And I think that's a good idea. I think it's great whenever something happens like that, when you sue them, because 1, it brings attention to the issue. 2, you actually could get something done in court. And 3, it kind of helps with it progressing on. One thing I don't really see it happening is actually changing the feds' minds, because I've seen similar lawsuits like this happen or go through in the past, and they didn't really go anywhere. But I could be wrong, and we could see some kind of historical, ruling happen out of this. I don't know. But I do know that they're going under the Fifth Amendment kind of thing. I don't know what else is really in there. I haven't checked out the thing. But I have the companies who are suing the federal government. If you guys are curious, because I'm sure people are going to ask me, it's Mesilla Valley Extracts, Royal Cannabis, Baked Chicken Farms, Smoky Road Farms, Impact Farms, Chad Core Holdings, Top Crop Cannabis, Mylars, Roland Love, and Desert Peak Farms. So these are all the companies that decided to join in on this. And some of these companies are the same company, so there's 8 of them. But some of them are consolidated into one, but there's just mentioned on there too. So there's 8 companies, and who knows how many more may join in on this lawsuit. So we'll see. I mean, so far, what are your thoughts on this, whole situation with that?
It's wild. I think that if you have a state manifest that shows that you're operating within the legal terms that the New Mexico kind of voters have given, that you should get like a federal pass. And I feel like there should be some communication where it's like, hey, these guys aren't criminals. These guys are just like businessmen. Literally should be treated as if you're taking some peaches from your farm in Las Cruces up to Albuquerque to sell them to a farmer's market.
Yep.
I do understand it's federally regulated. I do understand that it is like federally illegal, but that's why if you have the proper paperwork, that should be your hall pass sort of sense or sort of sense.
And I tell people all the time, I'm like, we're already breaking federal law. It's already against federal law for us to even be doing this cannabis thing anyway. So why are we sitting here like, well, it's against federal law? And I was like, this whole program is against federal law. What are you guys talking about? Like, why are we stopping?
You guys said it's okay.
Yeah. Like, I brought up that, I believe that cannabis production should be under Department of Ag of New Mexico. And someone was like, well, it's federally illegal. I was like, well, don't really give a shit. Like, let's just put it there. Um, it's the only crop in New Mexico that isn't under New Mexico Department of Ag because it's not a federal entity; it's a state entity.
Definitely.
And it's
Well,
so
even when hemp wasn't federally legal, hemp was still under ag.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Before
yeah,
hemp, so I mean, they can make it happen. But yeah, it's the psychoactive part of THC that all of a sudden makes it a controlled substance. And so, yeah, do we need to start bringing manifests that say it's CBD? Is that how you get through the loophole? Because
yeah,
now CBD is federally legal.
yeah,
So if you had a manifest that said CBD on it, and had the THCA, because THCA is supposedly legal, there's that loophole. So it's like, is that the play, or do regulators get in contact with the Homeland Security and say, hey, these guys have official paperwork from us and it has some kind of seal or some kind of stamp. They should be able to come and go through these border patrol points without any issues, because ultimately they're funding the economy for New Mexico.
100%. And all we would need is a memorandum of understanding from the Department of Homeland Security, or Mayorkas. He's the Secretary of Homeland Security.
Okay.
If we had a memorandum of understanding from him, it's stating, okay, this and this, we understand this, it would be different. It'd be almost like the one, the Robacher. I have a hard time saying that guy's name. That memorandum we had, the Cole memo, essentially. When we had that in play for a long time, then it got, rescinded during the Trump era. If we had something like that for DHS, that would actually save us a lot. And it would probably prevent us from going through this. But unfortunately,
I have a quick question for you. Do you know how they were handling it in the medical days? Were people just driving stuff down and no one's driving stuff up through the checkpoints? Or like, I just guess I've never heard of any of this during the medical days, so I don't know if there's history of them taking packages and stuff from legal businesses as well, or if this is just new just because it's been legalized.
So back then, it would happen very seldomly. But I believe there was a memorandum of understanding back then as well. I think that was the case. And it had to deal with medical or whatever. But now that things are wrecked, things change. We also had to change administration a couple times. So, that is a big change too. Who they put in charge, really does make a difference, or who gets elected in certain other areas does make a difference too. So, yeah, we've had a couple of changes there, but during the medical days, the only issues that we really had was they would confiscate your cannabis, and then I would get calls from buddies who are LEO, and they'd be like, hey, man, I'm getting called over to the border check, because what they would do is, like, if you got popped and you're a patient, you showed them your card, and then they would call the local authorities. The local authorities would come out. You wouldn't break a state law, and then it was just a big waste of time. And so it was that was
seems like something. Yeah, it seems like that should still be the play, where it's like, cool, we're going to hold you here till local authorities come here and check you out further. Local authorities come through. They say, cool, your paperwork's legit. We called into the state. You guys are good to go.
Yeah.
Especially because it's like we're paying the state right now as license holders to have them on our team instead of against us like it used to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. And that's one thing that the industry needs to notice too, is like we have to work with law enforcement a little bit better than versus straight attacking in a sport, especially the people who are in charge of, enforcement of things, because we are the ones who decided to be in this industry. They didn't force us to be in it, we have a choice, but, we have to play by the rules too. And so we have to kind of play by the same rules when it comes to dealing with the federal government. We have to play their game too. Okay, what's a way around this? Okay, we can do this memo of understanding. We can start jicking the agents, which is just, pretty much filing complaints. We can start suing the government, like, is happening now. We can lobby with, our federal government to change the law, but, to get Congress to do anything these days is a really hard feat, and, it's unfortunate that, we're at that point in our government, but that's just the truth. Because Congress is really the one that has the cards in this side of the legalization stuff. Because we tried to go through the DEA, they just said we're going to reschedule it to Schedule 3, and I'm like, God, that's just going to create more of a mess. Because hemp just created a mess, like look at all the mess that hemp created. Like I get it, a lot of people benefited from it, but on a regulation standpoint, it just created a huge mess, on regulatory standpoint. And so now we're going to add the Schedule 3 thing to cause even more confusion. And, it could have just been prevented by Congress getting their heads out their asses and legalizing it the correct way, so everything could be regulated correctly and not so confusing. And end up where we are right now, where New Mexico it's legal. The federal government's kind of cracking down on us at the border checks. Nowhere else, because they have full jurisdiction within 100 miles of the border check. It's only at the border checks. They can raid a dispensary if they wanted. It's just at the border checks. And so we're running into these issues now because of the disparities of the laws between the two areas. And that's where it kind of sucks, and unfortunate, we have to deal with that. But hopefully times will change, hopefully things are. It seems that it is, because we have, for the first time, both candidates backing cannabis legalization of some sort, on the presidential side, which that's huge, because, they're, leaders in the sense of, both parties when you look at it, and that could change things going on. And then that also changes public opinion. Public opinion also sways congressional votes to later down the road. So that's why I'm thinking we're probably 4 years away from like some kind of federal thing happening. 2 years from now, we have more congressional elections. And I think that could be another chance for us to get some older people out of Congress and get some more progressive people in who like cannabis.
Definitely.
But we'll see. We tend to vote against ourselves in the cannabis world sometimes. So, it's one of those unfortunate things,
It's a double-edged sword, man. It's like, do you legalize federally, and then all of a sudden, then you think things are bad now as far as prices and like the types of things that people could grow cannabis with. What happens when it goes federally legal and they're just kind of like, cool, like it's legal, just come to us if there's any issues or if anyone dies from smoking it, and then they'll make regulations based on that. So it is a double-edged sword, but also funding from banks would be nice. Being able to just go to Texas and not be harassed, that'd be nice. A whole different feeling if you have a little bit of weed with you and you're in Texas than you are when you are in New Mexico. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Because I am scared shitless every time I have to go to fucking El Paso, even if I don't have weed, just for the fact they're going to harass me more just for the fact that I'm out of state. Like I'm going to get it even a little harder. They're a little more used to seeing New Mexicans, Texans, and Mexicans in El Paso just for the fact of where it's at. But at the same time, you're just like, they still like to mess with people from out of state. Like it's like,
it's still a monkey on your back. Whether your car just smells like it or you just smell like it because you came from Las Cruces, even if you don't have anything with you.
T-shirt.
Yep.
Yeah. T-shirt, hat. I try to avoid bumper stickers just for the fact that does make you a target. They're not supposed to do that, but they do that.
They do that. They profile. Oh yeah. Yes.
Profile is illegal, but they profile.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, we got charged $250 because we were staying at a hotel room in Lordsburg, and the owner didn't like cannabis, and we just got on harvesting, went down to visit my grandma for her birthday, didn't have any cannabis on us, and got harassed and got charged $250 just because we smell like weed. And we're like, it's my job. You know what I mean? It's like, oh yeah, if they just decriminalize it, don't schedule it, then the big players are still going to be scared to mess with anything like that. And then it kind of gives, if they could just do, internet, not international, but like what is it when it's like transit? Interstate commerce. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, whenever they do interstate commerce, if they could just lift that like they do craft brews, so you could get super fire weed that's grown in New Mexico and California if you want, and vice versa, but it doesn't necessarily need to be completely legalized. I don't think. Maybe it does for that to happen, but I don't think it should mean that has to happen.
To be honest, if we remove it from, the scheduling altogether, it becomes like tobacco and alcohol legalization wise. So then it's up to the states, and then we have interstate commerce. And so, yeah, decriminalization is really what we want, because if you have a legalization, then, things get a little weird. But if you just pull it off the scheduling altogether, unfortunately, it will be a part of ATF. If that is the case, will be the ATCF or whatever the fuck they decide to call it. It will most likely be a part of that. And there'll be, of course, more federal entities to have to deal with, but you can at least claim taxes. You can file bankruptcy. You can do, business loans. You're a legal federal entity at that point. And things will just be easier and better for the business owners. You're not paying 280E anymore at that point either. With Schedule 3, 280E still is happening, and banking still going to be an issue, and the federal government already kind of backed that up and confirmed that. So, I think descheduling is really where we need to be, because this
100%.
isn't really panning out on the way it was supposed to,
Yeah, it doesn't seem as beneficial as they're trying to make it out to be. Now they're trying to deschedule it or reschedule it so that all of a sudden pharmaceuticals have like a ploy and they could use it as medicine. You know what I mean? And then you can only get cannabis from your pharmacy. And so what would that look like in 10 years? So definitely would like to keep it where it's at or decriminalize it altogether for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Because
that's
no, go ahead.
Go for it. Oh, I was just gonna say that's just what Yendo told me. I don't know anything.
Yendo's a very, very wise llama. Look at that. Look how wise.
Yeah.
Beyond his years of being wise. But that's really all I had for the update for that lawsuit and everything. I just wanted to let you guys know. Yes, we are talking about it. Yes, it is a thing. Yes, I've known about it for a very long time. But this is something that could change everything, or it just could be a way to help us change things. I don't see this being a cure-all or, being a home run lawsuit. It's a lawsuit that we should be talking about, yes, but I don't see it being the lawsuit that's going to, solve all our problems. I still think we have quite a bit of a ways to go before this issue is really solved, and the border check thing isn't something going away, and I have to go through it all the damn time. And it's something that I have to deal with as a medical cannabis patient still. Just to go do an industry sesh something up north, I'm like, damn, I gotta go through the freaking border check again. They're gonna question me, this and that, or they're gonna search me, or they're gonna have the dogs out. Is there going to be traffic, this and that?
Oh yeah, that fear is real too. My girlfriend's ever been through one of those, and she was just like, "Oh my god," and I'm like, "We're fine. Like we don't have anything with us." She's like, "I know it's still very intimidating though." And it's like, "Oh yeah, that's like that's their job. Their job is to induce fear, and the ones that are scared do crack. Like that's how they find 90% of the people. So be chill. Tell them it's CBD, no THC, and it's federally legal. So. Maybe a loophole that the Southern homies can utilize to get through the checkpoint. Not telling you to break the law. I'm just telling you, what you might be able to do to avoid persecution.
Yeah, if it's harvested a little bit earlier, there might be a little bit more THCA in there than regular THC. So, well, if it's harvested early, we'll see.
Yeah, they don't know that.
I know exactly. So, But yeah, we'll see what happens on that front. I just wanted to update everybody on that. I had another topic, but we had such a great conversation before that. I don't have to really cover it. I'll cover it on the next episode next week because it's something that we could talk about whenever. But thank you so much for joining me today, Daniel. And thank you so much for sharing the pictures of Yendo, giving the updates of what's going on with Yendo. The farm, the rosin situation and all that. What your plans are and all that, man. I really appreciate it. It's always a great conversation to have you on, bro. And I look forward to seeing you again. I know we all got to take a hiatus sometimes, but it's gonna be cool seeing you at the events again.
Oh yeah, no, definitely will see us around, and we'll be popping up. We'll be more in the public view more, and popping up to different events, and come say hi, come say what's up, try out some new. If we're at a lounge or something, come take 10 minutes and take a dab and see if you notice the difference. See if that extra $10-$20 is really worth it to you, and some of you might find it is. So we're excited to meet everybody and to kind of just be doing what we're doing and sharing it with everybody. And thanks for having us on again, Chad. And man, had a great thing going on here. So keep it up and keep people informed and keep doing what you do, my dog.
Appreciate it, man. I really appreciate the kind words, and I think that's an open invite to do the Yendo challenge. The Yendo challenge coming up, so check out the flavors and see if it is worth it. And I appreciate you guys being on, and I look forward to having you on next season again to get another update to see.
Cool, man.
So,
let's touch base another 6 months to a year, and let's keep people hyped. Cannabis is a thing to be excited about, and legalization and all this definitely dampers the excitement sometimes when you have to bring in all the taxes and all the laws and the rules and everything you have to follow. But, we got those things down. And so now we're back to the good stuff, growing fireweed for fire people. You know what I mean? They go together. We think that here at Yendo Farms, if you have good weed, good people, you're bound to have a good time. So, we're just all here for a good time. So thanks again, man. Appreciate you guys.
Appreciate you, man. And you guys don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, whatever you got to do to make sure you stay in the know. I'll see you guys next week for the next episode. We're only, 2 episodes away from the last episode of this season. So I will see you guys here soon, and we're going to take a break. All right, guys. I'll see you next time. Shoots.
Later. So, yep, I think like you said, double-edged sword, but federally legalizing it or federally decriminalizing it, not.
Oh yeah. Oh, I think his phone died. Oh, there we go. We lost you for a second. Yeah, we'll just edit that out real quick. I thought your phone died. I was like, oh no.
No.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I just blacked out and it muted out for a second, so I don't know what happened.
Cool. No, that was on me. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you, brother.
Cool.
We're good. But yeah, go ahead and finish it, and we'll have Gino do his editing magic.
All right. Cool. Yeah, sorry about that.
Cool.
Can you hear me now, though? Cool.
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
We're back. All right.
Cool. But yeah. I was like, wait, where were we leaving off? We'll just
where were we?
about the federal legalization. Oh, you were talking about decriminalization and